Well, I'm going to say welcome everybody to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. And today is Monday, September the 8th, 2025. And we're glad you're with us. Michael will be with us here in just a moment. Welcome, Sean and Susan and Melissa. I'm sure more people are going to pop in here shortly. Hope you're all doing well. If there's anything we can do to support you, let us know. And Michael is now with us, so I'm going to say welcome, Michael.
Thank you, dear heart, and welcome, everybody. I'm going to keep my voice a little bit on the quiet side. I have this little guy Lincoln laying on my shoulder, sound asleep, and I see that Sean's got his hand up already. Welcome, Sean. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Am I muted still or no?
You are unmuted. I can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent.
What's in your thoughts today? How's your week been?
Well, as per our conversation from last week, with everything taken all together, summed up in a three-letter word, wow. Backwards is also
Tell
wow.
me about it.
So, so while at our little biblical topics study, everyone was participating and it was fun. We were only missing one person from the last time. I had this realization. I realized it in live time. The things that we go over, you have to go over them many times and in different ways. It's a special type of patience, right? Patience and understanding, because there's literally there's nothing there within them in a lot of cases to resonate with the words. It must be a similar problem Jesus had, right? If we can say.
Right.
And so, you have to rephrase things and be very patient. Because you and I, we take for granted what we know, at this point. But this is a fresh work, and it can very easily appear to be another gospel. Some might say, now these terms aren't really what's used, but you have to expect resistance in some ways, which is healthy because it's a self-check also. Do I really believe what I think I know? So that's incredible. And then the wife comes along and she asked, I tried to get her on again, but she says, I'm going to the gym, and she skated out. But if I might ask her question, she actually has two questions, if you have the time.
What we're here for.
Okay. She says, if the Bible was never written, then how would the world be? Or if it was never found, how would the world be? And then second part of her question, do you give a Bible to somebody if you love them or not? And we were actually walking around the store last night, and it said, I have an answer to your second question out of nowhere, because it had just struck across me. It really depends on the person receiving it. Of course, if you give a book to somebody that they didn't ask for, 99.999% of the time, they're not going to read it. And so similarly, if someone is of the right mindset, ready to receive, you can share with them, and it would be received. But her questions are, they have some depth. They've got a little bit of a punch behind them, and so I just figured I'd throw those out there and see what we think.
Well, the new book that I'm working on, which you had made a comment in your email to Jeannie.
Yes, sir.
Everything that they told you about my teaching, even my name,
yep,
it's all Greek to me. And Our culture has a false description of words that have been mistranslated. We mistakenly call a poorly rendered phrase lost in translation, but that's really a distraction. And especially in the case of the ancient Aramaic words and wisdom of Yeshua, my take is that a whole idea of lost in translation rises to the level of a total fraud. The truth is that things are only lost in a lack of translation. So the actual translation process is that of converting accurately the meaning of words as the speaker meant them from one language to another, and without conveying accurately the speaker's thought, there is no translation. And the inaccurate rendition of the meaning behind a speaker or a writer's words is not a translation at all, or it's an interpretation. And when we talk about the Bible, what generally passes as the Bible in this Western culture is something that has been rendered from the Greek language and from Greek thought. And I offer that there is nowhere that you'll find a translation of the words of Yeshua in Greek, or any writings that are derived from the plethora of Greek interpretations. So, hence the subtitle of my book, Yeshua would say that's all Greek to me. So I think that one of the greatest travesties in history is that the words of Yeshua have been put into a mind that had no idea what he was saying, thinking, or speaking about. And some really horrific things have been made up. I remember one day I was invited to a church that was kind of a hellfire and brimstone, and I sat and I watched this young boy, maybe 2 or 3 seats in front of me, and the terror that the preachers up there just railing about sin and hell and damnation, and you better repent. I mean, this whole story that comes out of the Greek hellacious misinterpretation of Yeshua's words.
Yeah.
And this kid just sat there. I mean, here we're supposed to be in a place where they're speaking about a creator called love, and this kid is just in such terror and such trauma listening to. I mean, you can just watch this kid trembling at what he's being told. I've often thought about, I wonder what the long-term effect, that was probably 8 or 9 years ago. So this young man is probably, he's in an age where he could easily be married and have kids now. And I just wonder what kind of an impact that would have, or has had, if he does have, and very possibly has a couple of small kids and a wife. What does that result in? So when we talk about the Bible, there is not a rendition of Yeshua's words that shows up accurately from the Greek language. And basically, there's a workshop that Dale Allen Hoffman and myself did a few years ago. I had coined a term, Aramaicisms, to represent my efforts to bring back the actual original Aramaic meanings of Yeshua's words. And when one finds those words, rather than a reason for hellfire, damnation, condemning little kids to hell, terrorizing them with the unresolved, errant thinking of the adult standing in front of them, what one finds is a set of tools and a way to be restored to the truth of who we are as created human beings, and that in the first breath of life that we were given a human life. We were given this awesome presence of love that each of us is, and sadly the supposed words or translations of Yeshua's words have been used to destroy that. So handing someone the accurate teachings of a man named Yeshua, I think, is probably the grandest blessing, because I don't know, I've been working in this field for a little better than 55 years now, and I've looked at everything everywhere on the planet that I could find.
Yes, sir.
And there's nobody that has the tools, nobody that anywhere. There are pieces and parts, but there's nowhere that I've found where the whole picture comes together. And here's a man that says, here's how you recover your human life. Here's how you get back to the moment where you were given a human life. If we call that description a Bible and give people accurate words about doing that, I don't think there's a greater blessing in the world. If we call anything that comes out of a Greek sourced thought structure the Bible, we're simply mistaken. Now, I'm not sure if that gets to the question that your wife, or questions your wife was asking, but that's my take. That's my offering.
Right. I'll have her listen to the section for sure. I don't know if you heard the door opening and closing, but she's in and out, getting ready to go.
Cool.
Yeah. So,
That'll be saying hello.
yeah, definitely. One of these days, I'll get her on. But I think she's doing her own kind of processing in her own special way. And so, I welcome her questions now. A year ago, I would sometimes see them as a kind of attack, but that's not really the case, is it?
No.
All said and done.
Only if we have unresolved brain cells
Right.
for attack in our own minds, which we then project into our brain's image of someone else and think they're attacking. But the truth is, if quote unquote I feel attacked, it's because there's an energetic pattern of attack in me, and if I have the tools of Yeshua, I apply forgiveness to that and remove it, and all of a sudden, the attack disappears.
But Michael, there's so much Greek understanding that's still there.
It's pretty bizarre. Yeah, I've been working for half century plus to try to bring correction to that.
Yeah,
because it's an atrocity. I mean, it's horrific what's been
it
put
is
in his mouth. It's just horrendous.
I had the opportunity at the study the other night to help try to draw a conclusion on something. And I had used a story the other day. I was driving and doing thinking. It's just what I do, analyze everything. Apparently I'm an INTJ personality type, and everything about it fits, it seems to. And so I told them, I shared my experience within myself, because I'm my own neighbor, right? That I was listening into the radio and I heard the phrase, "the blood of Jesus covers me." And it was striking. We've all shared that, I'm sure, at some point here or there. But to someone who doesn't understand that kind of terminology, I mean, that's, how did you put it? Horrific? It's absolutely horrific, in that sense. Yet I understand it. I understand both sides, which is an incredible thing to be able to do in this day and age. And I got some pushback, of course, to be expected. Well, the sacrifice has to be because our sin is so bad, and then you move into, okay, what's sin? And and pretty much everyone will define some act of sin, some behavior of some kind. So there's a lot of work to do, a lot of patience to be had. But it's fun. I just wanted to share those couple of things. But you're right on track, and I'm rooting for you. I want a box of books. When they're ready, you give me a price and ship them to me. And yeah, let's do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's interesting. If you go to one of the earliest examples in the New Testament of this idea of sin, it's John the Baptist referring to Yeshua. And he says, Lamb of God who takes away the, and this word is singular, sin of the world.
Right.
And then later, an S is added and it becomes plural, and it becomes individual acts of,
Right.
however,
falls apart.
the word Aramaic, in Aramaic, sin is an archery term. When you fire at the target and you miss the bullseye, Scarkeeper yells sin. All it means is engaging in an energy that's off the mark. If you think about your body-mind unit as having been designed to incarnate this created essence called love, then anything unlike love is sin. It's off the mark. But in that original passage, you put that together and it says a ton. For instance, it doesn't say anything about forgiving sins or the forgiveness of sins. What it says is takes away, and then it's a singular word. What is it talking about? My offering is it's talking about taking away the original error that we made. And that's described in the story of the Garden of Eden, where all of a sudden Eve starts, going for this apple. And of course, the origin of blame started right there when you hear Adam talking about, well, God, that woman you gave me, like he's already well down the pathway to blame. He's got both the woman and God to blame for it. But you look at that one and, interpreting or understanding what that idea of eating of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, what is that? I'd offer that as giving up the awareness of ourselves as love and living in the eternal forces of love that we're designed for, and trading that in for a carbon-based memory mind, an intellect. And, in our codependence, we've got a facilitated study of our codependent self-study going on right now. And in that workshop, I delineate a number of what I call the pseudo-solutions of the non-being mind. And my take is that the number one pseudo-solution, i.e., this is so common that if we had 100 people in a room and we asked everybody their age, minus the 5 years from each of their ages, and added all their ages up, we'd have the number of years that the people in that room have been utilizing this pseudo-solution, the original sin. What was it? The number one pseudo-solution of the non-being mind, carbon-based memory, is if I could just figure this out. People are sitting around trying to figure it out. And the truth is, you can't figure it out. But so what is this eating of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil? It's giving up our relationship with ourselves and the Creator as love and falling into the intellect, the mind of man. You look throughout the scriptures and you hear there are two different minds described. There's the mind of man, which is carbon-based memory, stored database. Simply, it's really an artificial intelligence system. In the artificial intelligence world, if you put a query into your artificial intelligence program, whatever that query is, that query will recruit information and will give you answers that are brought up by that query. Well, most human beings, and we haven't realized when we fell out of being into the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, trying to figure it out, we fell into an artificial intelligence device. And our queries, what runs the show, and this is why forgiveness is so important, and understanding that the word forgive, shabag in Aramaic, means to cancel, is that the whole database is queried. It's actually artificial intelligence, and it's queried by setting goals. And whatever goal we load into the mind, The mind will take whatever data is there, and if we've got 1,000 generations of patterns of hate and fear and rage and guilt and grief, then a particular goal is going to elicit those very energies. And out of the mind comes this artificial construct called perception, and it takes place of living in relationship as love, with love, and moving in the world as a creator. So to take away the sin, it's singular, that original error is to recognize that at our first breath, we were given a human life. We were given the existence of active present love. And then we fell into the generational patterns of carbon-based memories mind and started trying to figure it out instead of staying connected to our original being. So when John refers to him, takes away the sin, he's saying, look, here's a man who's living, no matter what happens to him, he lives as conscious, active, present love. You know, the high priest servant comes to him, the man who's going to have him mercilessly slaughtered. He's just had his ear cut off by Peter. And what does Yeshua do? He's taken away the error of carbon-based memory, and he functions as a human being, as love. He simply reaches forward to the high priest servant and offers him healing. That's what a human being would do. That's what a human life would do. But if we've lost our human lives to a mind that is filled with generations and generations of hostility or fear, literally lost in the desert, that whole story about, spending 40 years in the desert was not about being lost in a 35 square mile hot sandy place. It was living unconsciously in the mind of man, having fallen into the tree of knowledge of good and evil, of trying to figure it out, getting my mind to see if it can fix this, instead of being restored to human life, which is what Yeshua demonstrated. And then he gave a whole set of tools for how to resolve the generational patterns if you become lost in what was called the mind of man. So forgiveness is then introduced once the original error is made, and we start getting crazy because the artificial intelligence of our own genetic history and carbon-based memory system is filled with all kinds of crazy stuff. And so once we fell from what was called grace or being or living in our original given state, then we made all kinds of mistakes. Our ancestors have made all kinds of errors, quote unquote, sin. And so forgiveness is introduced as a tool to clean up the carbon-based memory system so that it becomes a fit vehicle to receive the restored human being who recognizes themselves and returns to experiencing themselves as they're designed to be experienced, as conscious, active, present love, and is willing to face any energy that's off the mark in themselves, be responsible for it instead of blaming everybody else, and clean up the database. Hand people that book, and you've given them the best gift they'll ever get, would be my take. Hand them the Greek story about that, and you guarantee sustained incoherence and insanity.
It maintains specialness, as it says. And so if you believe that you're special apart from someone else, their specialness and your specialness will see one another as the enemy, and you'll fool yourself into thinking God is the problem. Where when you are able to alleviate yourself of thinking that you're special or different than creation or how you were originally created, it's not that you gain superpowers, you just go back to being who or what you originally were intended to be. At least
Yes.
that's as I understand it.
Yeah. Back to our created essence. Yeah. Restored to the truth of who we are.
Right.
And then clean up the database.
Oh, lots of fun along the way. A lot of fun.
Oh, many, many, many opportunities. Having to face every generational pattern.
Yeah.
It's quite quite a journey.
Well, it can be fun along the way, as long as, I get fed, as long as there's plenty of money in the bank, as long as I feel the right temperature. It's a lot of fun along the way. Yeah. Yeah. I wish I long that my brothers, when I say brothers, I mean like brothers and sisters, right?
Fellow
I
humans. Yeah.
long everyone that not that they would be like me. That's not how I mean, but that they would be at least where I am in understanding in seeing themselves, and God help them to exceed where I am, that they may help me. Um,
Walking each
that's
other
just
home.
where I'm at. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's just where I'm at with it
Glad to be
at the
sharing the
moment.
path with you and
Yeah,
in
for sure.
walking each other home.
Amen.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, any other
Okay.
thoughts for you, sir?
Oh, probably, but we'll turn it over to someone else.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the time.
Hey, delighted you're here. So, how is everybody else out there in listener land doing today? Anybody have any thoughts, any questions, any issues up for you that we can support you with? What's on your mind? We had an awesome weekend. We had 2 days of mind shifters and still point breathing. It was a mind shifters and still point breathing club this weekend. And then Susan Fluick did an awesome job on Sunday of the facilitating the codependence to interdependence self-study and bringing that forward to another level. Susan, any thoughts for you on how things went yesterday afternoon? I thought it was a great session.
Yeah, no, a great session. Lots up for me right now. Another layer after that mind shift
No,
weekend. Oh my gosh. And
no, you're
so
kidding. I thought you'd be finished by now.
what the heaven was I thinking? So I just finished working at I just I'm so grateful for Dr. Tim and yourself. Just another layer, and I talked about it in the first hour, what was up around a spider. But it brought up a whole bunch of stuff around my first marriage and suffering abuse and almost dying at his hand. So
Hmm,
that's up.
that's pretty big
That's
stuff.
it's really up. And so I'm just trusting the process. Did breath work this morning based on the mind shifter that I did on Sunday or Saturday that you gave me for Sunday.
Right.
So yeah, and because for people that don't know, the mind shifter, I'm just trying to, do I even have it here? But, the mind shifter, this was the mind shifter, just so people know. It has always been easy for me to forgive as to the pain others bring up for me. So guess what? That's up for healing now, this layer of me dissociating from feeling. Um, Yeah, and then intimacy is a threat to my safety, and physical intimacy is a threat to my safety. So that's all up right
Hmm,
now. Yeah,
that'll be good stuff to dump
yeah,
and bring
mhm,
truth to. That'll change your life. It'll change your physiology.
yeah,
It'll change your whole trajectory in the creation. So that's pretty cool to have that being faced. And I assume that probably that consists of some generational patterns and such.
yeah. And even the pattern, this last what happened in the support group around me being hyper vigilant and reading micro energy and micro movements and always predicting threat. So that's really, I can see all that. And then how I'm at the effect of my own mind content and the mind content of my ancestors for everything that's been created in my reality. So yeah, so it's already did lots of sheets. And then as for last night, I thought it was great. I felt really good about the information that's coming through to how to present your work and bringing more depth into it. And so yeah, and it, like this morning, lots is coming in also for this week around. Like I mean, I what they show me and how to present it now, how I see it in my mind. I really wish I could just take a snapshot of my inner mind to present your work because, and then I have to try to bring that forward on a PowerPoint. But it's so
Yeah.
clear in my mind, like, oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly right. And I
Well,
loved, yeah,
and what I hear you describing is you're taking what has been predicted to be perhaps as much as a 20 trillion bit world, the actuality,
yeah,
and trying to put it into a 9-bit mind. It's like I wasn't aware. It was interesting that yesterday to hear you say you said previously that you had been engaged in a business world that was male oriented, male dominated, but I didn't realize that you had a PhD in forestry and
yeah. It's not in
doing
forestry actually.
mining.
Yeah, I'm a forester by training. I have a degree in forestry, a master's in business, and a PhD in industrial organizational psychology.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so yeah,
anyway,
that
bringing that all
education.
together
Yeah,
was just awesome yesterday, and
yeah,
to try now to bring it through your filters and bring it into a world that we can in that time frame where perhaps 20 trillion bits of data are going on in the actuality, getting that into a 9-bit mind is
yeah.
like taking an 8-foot 2x4 and putting it in the 8 inches between our ears. It's an interesting. Well, I heard this, but how do I say that in English?
Or yeah, the knowing, like there's things that are coming and also
Yeah.
living in spirit, which we talked about, right? That is, being inspired to walk a path, which I'm listening, and that information downloading into me, and then using my 9-bit mind to bring that forward and reveal the truth to humanity. And then you coming into my world, which, as I've told everybody already, that this isn't my first rodeo with Michael and Jeannie. I'm in a different body, but the story continues. And so, yeah, and then more and more is being revealed to what I've known from other lifetimes as well. So that's bringing the truth and how does that all fit? And then I'm also doing my own healing at the same time because I'm looking through this physiology. So as you said,
Is
reading the stuff, going through all the detail, do my own processing, trying to capture on a PowerPoint, and then bring it back out to the people.
hmm Isn't it awesome that we have the breath
Thank God for Rukha.
to assist? It's
Yeah,
without it, just
yeah.
it's pretty much unimaginable.
Yeah, and she says, they're saying you're ready for this because it's here. So you could never get more than you can handle. And
There
this
you go.
level of vitality, it's time. It's time for me to break
Yep.
free of the bonding of this carbon-based memory around the perception of men and lack of safety because that's just simply not true.
Yeah.
Amen.
And just take a look through the list at the family that you've attracted that are
Mhm.
here holding the space for you.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm in deepest of gratitude to everybody. And Terry's a big mirror, or TJ's a huge mirror because in the breath work I could see so much of me. Everybody, when people speak, there's such beautiful reflections, including you, Sean. I see myself and wanting to be of help to everybody, and then also it's just the inner journey. You take care of the inner world, the outer world will take care of itself. It's as Eckhart Tolle says, it's just an inner journey of whatever's in us. We just keep cleaning, and then we get reflected the purity of our own heart in this world. That's what I'm really seeing. There's nothing to
Susan,
do on the outside.
Susan, I would like to bring you a gift, if I may.
Yes.
Okay. And of course, it's not gold or money or anything like that, but maybe in some ways it can be. I had a couple thoughts through the week, and then even now, I'm remembering them because I prior forgot. I didn't write them down. So there's a couple of things. All fathers love their children, So if you didn't have that in this particular life, okay, it's not your fault. I'm sure you know all this. I'm just reinforcing it for
Yeah.
you. Okay. It's not your fault. And if these people, your father, whoever, your mother, if they didn't protect you the way that you expected, it's not because you didn't deserve it. You're here now, and you know the things you know because of that. So it's not all a waste, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And then the second thing I want to relay to you, it's a little more technical. Check yourself, just make sure objectively that you're not hiding behind this work in some kind of a way that's going to slow your progress down. Okay, we want you, all of you, your whole being to be present with us and to heal, whether it be mind, spirit, heart, soul, call it whatever terminology you want. Just be sure you're not hiding behind the work. Check yourself. It's okay to do that from time to time. I have to do that, and I'm learning that as I explain it to you.
Mhm.
But that's all I wanted to share, very simply.
And can you tell me more what you mean by hiding behind the work?
So, is it possible that in the past, with Michael's work or whatever other doctorates and different things that you've earned, is it possible that you don't have to answer this question? It's one for
Mhm.
yourself. Is it possible that it's a type of like a pseudo solution? Is it possible that it could be your mind playing a trick on you for the purpose of bringing validation or bringing self-reflective value that you may have a perception of that you may have lost
Mhm.
somewhere or had been taken from you. Um, perhaps we can chat more offline about it. And I'm nobody. Uh, what you see is what you got. But I'm learning as I see things, and if I share them like a soundboard, um, it's an opportunity to have them corrected and adjusted also. And then if what I've shared, we can say the Holy Spirit can take it and reinterpret it into the ears of the hearers.
Mhm.
And then that energy, if you will, can be cleaned and sharpened for clarity. And who knows? Maybe that's not even for you. What I'm speaking 12 years from now, somebody will pick up and say, wow, that's, I needed something like that. Who knows? You know,
It resonates, just so you know. Thank you for being
sure.
that reflection, because I can tell you, because my journey through fawning and a conditioned response that I
Right.
learned in order to have perceived safety.
Yeah.
So my journey has been, if I'm valued out there, then
Mhm.
I'm valuable. So education was a way to feel valued. It was also a way to break
Right.
out of poverty. But
Sure. Sure.
also, so what you're saying rings very true. I thank you for that feedback, 100%. And I'm
Absolutely.
I'm collapsing that perceptual construct. And right now I'm toiling with um, being called in spirit to bring the truth to humanity, which I said last night, the highest truth that I've perceived is through Michael's work.
Are your
That
parents still alive?
No.
Okay. Well, you just have to know that they did the best that they could with what they knew.
Yeah.
You know, and that's simply it. There is no other complication that we have to look at.
Yeah.
That's simply it. And you're gaining your identity back as we speak.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
you're
know?
exactly right. Thank you. That brings tears.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you seeing me, to see those parts
Mhm.
that would have been seeking value, but also seeing the parts of me that's reclaiming the truth of my identity.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
So,
are not our final product.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. I
for
appreciate
sure.
that.
And it's okay to be valued for bringing value. If that's our issue, refraining from engaging is not the solution. Forgiveness is. Whenever there's
Yeah.
an energy that is unlike truth or unlike the presence of being, applying forgiveness to remove it and then moving forward with the next right step becomes the pathway.
Yeah. And so in this situation, that driver underneath to be valued, I'm aware of it, and I'm also aware of the calling, being in spirit, that this was the next right step. So, and then as I'm on the journey of the next right step, I get to do the cleaning and clearing of the energy that might be behind some of my need for value, which I get to cancel that goal. So the energy is pure as I walk forward into my destiny with God. So thank you, everybody.
Isn't it sweet to have a whole family here that's just holding the space?
Yeah, I'm
I'm in
blessed.
appreciation for everybody that's here.
Yeah, I'm blessed. It's a blessing to be held in this container as I do my own healing, and that seeing that all of me is invited to exist here,
Yes.
the shadow and the light. And as I do my cleaning, yeah, it doesn't get better than this. That's for sure.
I want to say something. This is the other Susan.
Go for it, young lady.
Hi. I wondered if, Sean, you were on the previous hour with Tim Hayes.
I was not. I was actually just thinking it would be neat if Tim joined us every now and then, or we joined with him. I usually have to catch everything a day or two or a week later after it's already out.
Okay. Well, then what I wanted to say was I was on the show with Tim Hayes, and Susan did a tremendous amount of work. So if there's any hiding, I also think it's a catalyst to kick a lot of fast. I was having to breathe and breathe and breathe through that whole hour because so much of what you were working on was resonating, Susan. So if you're doing any hiding, a lot of you isn't hiding at all. And just carry on. That's all I wanted to say. Not to counter what you said, because I have wondered, she's working so hard and being so successful, doing so much for other people. And I wonder if this is covering up something, but I actually don't think it is. Doesn't look that way. That's something I might have done, but I don't think so.
Thank you so much, Susan. And I feel my healing, and it's, everybody's reflection. So it's bringing healing to all that are in my field. I trust that. I'm really just following Rukha. I'm just stepping into the next right thing that shows up.
That's exactly right.
And being vulnerable or being in a space where I get to be all of me and authentic, so it creates an opportunity for others to do the same. Right? That's all I can do. I'm here to be one with God, and that means facing all the humanness of me.
Yeah.
My God, that sounds like A Course in Miracles. I'm here only to truly helpful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
How cool is that?
Yeah. And thankfully that God has given me the stamina to be able to like Michael says, at the pace and things, but I'm ready. I am really ready in this next level of vitality, so I can be the teacher I came here to be and live in my salvation. And it's been many lifetimes to be here. So thank you so much for Susan. I appreciate you. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your humor. I appreciate you. And you're a mirror in so many ways of my own journey. So just deepest of gratitude for you.
Oh, thanks. Well, during this past hour that you did, I was thinking, how can she bear this? How can she get through this? And of course, that means I'm asking myself about my own junk too.
Hmm. Yeah, and you know what? The saving grace for me, in
What?
honesty, is that I've already lived through it.
Yeah.
I've got through the direct experience of everything
Mm-hmm.
I've been through, and now I'm just processing the memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Survived
And
it
That's
on
I,
the way in, you'll survive it on the way out.
mm,
that's the saving grace because I'm here. And if I that part, and so whatever that, there's still that piece that doesn't want to be known by the conscious mind yet.
mm,
I just trust that when it's ready, it will be revealed. And yeah, I'm in the best container. I couldn't be in a more held space with Ruka and everybody here and the energies. It's a blessing. I'm not doing it alone.
I wanted to ask you, Susan, about your boy who wanted to hug you and
Hmm.
you didn't trust that. How painful that must have been for you and him.
Yeah.
How is he? Does he yell at you? How does he handle that?
No, he's 19 now, so this would have happened from little till probably 14 was
Mm-hmm.
like that. And as I've been doing my work, I focused a lot on attachment theory with Dr. Gordon
Mm-hmm.
Neufeld. And so I've been making it my work to do the repair.
Oh,
And
good.
now our relationship is the best it's ever been. And
Oh.
he's a lovely, and he's very awake. And
Mm-hmm.
he's told me, he's channeled to me why he came here and how he's here
Wow.
on my path. He's at 15 years old. He gave me a 7-page download
Wow.
of the whole purpose of my journey, and it's actually true. To be honest, I would not have done my work had he not come.
Wow.
And he's
Well,
been
that's
a big
wonderful to hear.
motivator.
That's a good follow-up to your
Yeah, it's
vignette of him approaching you and you holding up your hand and saying, "What are you doing?"
yeah,
And not trusting him.
yeah. And
So,
he was the love of God before me, and I
hmm,
couldn't see it. This
yeah.
divine masculine. So I've done a lot of work so I could get so he can see his reflection in my presence,
Hmm.
and teaching him language about not codepending, all of that. And so yeah,
Hmm.
and I know he will work with me in the future. It's been shown, and he chose me as his mom,
Hmm.
and I've done a lot of efforting to do the repair. And it's never too late. That's the best part.
That's good to know. Good
Hmm.
to know.
It
Nothing
isn't.
like motivation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the most gracious, loving, divine masculine, and he came through me, and so he is my mirror of
Hmm.
of my work.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a blessing. It's
That is
really
amazing.
deep blessing. Yeah. Thanks for
Wow.
asking. Thank you
Oh,
for
thanks
asking.
for answering.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We
I will mute myself.
Well, it looks like we've got the S's going today. Sean and Susan and Susan and Sally. You had your hand up, or your mute button off. Do you have a thought for us, Sally?
Yes, I do. I do. I
Please.
do.
Awesome.
Uh, I wanted to just connect with Susan F. on, well, actually, all of you, but Susan F. Just so you know, you're not the only one recovering from, what shall I call it? Addiction to performance. We'll just go with that.
Yeah.
Um, I have been working on healing this old belief that, and I'm going to say old, there's maybe a remnant left, but the old belief was that I'm only valued when I'm producing, serving, or excelling. And,
Hmm.
you know, so it was pretty high intensity. And so this weekend I had this experience. I feel like I'm a living, walking worksheet. And so I was doing my typical go numb routine, which is I see something like the garage needs to be cleaned up because we're at the changing of a season, and I need to clean up the garage. And so I go into full garage cleaning mode, and about halfway through, I caught myself being just like my father. I mean, it was like my moves were the same, my sounds were the same. And I said,
Our person.
okay, oh, it was so funny. And I said, okay, Sally, time to do a worksheet. Like literally stop right where you are, right in your tracks, and go do a worksheet. So I went inside, got the worksheet, and started working through that process. And I'll make it short. The short form of it was I ended the worksheet in practically laughter that, and so much more compassion for my father, because the guy was driven to perform and he got it from his mom. And, I thought, well, the good news is I can stop the pattern in me and give my daughter, my 27-year-old daughter, a chance to stop the pattern in her. And so I thought, the thinking part of me wants to glob on and control and call her right away. And it was so funny. During this call, my daughter called, and we had the most loving, wonderful conversation where I was able to share with her, because she was kind of doing the same thing all weekend. She was trying to be a plumber and an electrician in her new house. And I said, oh my God, girl, let me remind you that you have a body and the body is sacred, and it's really important to take care of that body too. And I was able to say some words. They just kind of tumbled through me. And I
Nice
heard
catch.
her, I heard her get it. There was this pause, and she said, I know, Mom, you didn't know how to model self-care very well. And she said, now we can both do it differently. And I almost started to cry right then and there. And I said, thank you, Jessica. Thank you, God. Thank you. We've had this moment today. She was on her way to work. I'm on my way from work. And it was so sweet, because in that moment, I knew this process is complete in the intention being made manifest. And it will be a process, and it will take time, and we'll both catch ourselves doing the old behavior. But when Susan was processing about her degrees and her need to perform and having that inner driver, I so resonate. And I just wanted you to know that I'm with you on this journey.
I appreciate
And all.
that. Yeah. Thank you so much. Because that's, and I can now, as I'm sitting here, was really looking to be valued. The driver behind it. If you see me, if I'm somebody, if I have money or if I have degrees, then I'll be valuable. But it's
and
inherent.
You're valued.
I know. That's, to be there. That's what I asked in my worksheet this morning, that I know it, that I have worth, and nothing outside of me has my worth is independent of anything. I could be sitting in a cardboard box behind Canadian Tire, living there, and I'm still valuable. That's, it was programmed out, but yet that is my inherent state. So that's what I'm returning to with all of this work. So I appreciate your feedback.
Amen.
And that you also, that the mirroring, that you could understand what I'm, and also you could feel what I'm going through, because you also had that in yours. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think this would be a good place to bring in a rather strange word that is not very well known in our culture, but is defined very succinctly by a gentleman named T.S. Eliot. And the word is propitiation. And he defines propitiation through just a single line in a poem. He says, "'Tis the highest treason to do the right thing for the wrong reason." And, remembering that externally, the behavior may be identical. It's the mindset behind it, if it's propitiation, that's in need of healing. The external world may all look exactly 1000% the same, but the change that occurs is that instead of being motivated by quote unquote my disease, i.e. the wrong reason. I was told if I didn't do this, I'd be punished or was bad, all that, whatever that stuff is, to recognize that the external behavior can be identical. And if I really do some introspection, I find that it's propitiation. The only thing that needs to heal is what's going on inside of me. And when I heal that motivation, when I heal that disease, then I may choose to do exactly the same behaviors, or I may choose to change it. But it's not in the external, it's in what mind energy it's coming from in us. And certainly this idea of performative, I for one, as a representative of the male aspect of the species, would like to offer an apology to all of womankind for the insanity that's gone on, where the male dominated aspect of the culture has messaged women that you only have a value if, and literally that you're property. Huge apologies to all of women for that. That's insane.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. And I know you when I was with you and you did the quantum still point, that I really felt it and I feel it now. It's that we're tied, we're being the objectification, that you have no value unless, whether it's for sexual gratification, for performance as a mother, all of it. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's just got to go. I mean, it's just bizarre because holding on to that, whatever side of the spectrum one is on, whether one is male or female, holding on to that, that's the destroyer of being on both sides of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
And as we recognize it, whatever way we've played it out, I've seen it played out with the female, making the male perform as well. It's happened in both directions, but I think predominantly it's been a male-dominated game that's been played on the planet for too long. And I, for one, choose to apologize and open the space for the total healing of that dynamic in the earth, and for us each to break down these generational patterns that have us living out of our diseases in order to gain something, or to be approved of whatever it is. And really, each of us standing in our true power and acknowledging and supporting the true power of every other being on the planet. And that in that world, there's enough for everybody to have it all. It isn't dog eat dog. It isn't competition. There's enough for everybody to have it all.
And as you said that, you know what I just realized? Also, there's an apology that I want to say for my perception of men. And that's likely brought in from many generations, and not valuing the truth of what they bring and seeing them as a threat, and that they're not safe. And any energy that I may have generated in causing any reflection that they must had to mirror because I couldn't see the truth, I want to take accountability for that. So the truth
Joining
can
and
be
holding the
revealed.
space for that.
Yeah,
I hear
that's
you
so
loud and clear.
I realized that in this moment, because if I'm holding a perception of the masculine, they cannot step into their divinity because they have to play out the perception that I've given them.
Unless one chooses to be fully conscious.
Yeah.
Most
Exactly.
people are simply bouncing off of the energetic patterns, literally the energetic emanations off of each other.
Yeah.
And that's what tends to run the show until we choose to become fully conscious, and we can be aware. Whoa, there it is. But thank you. I'm going to choose and bring in being instead. So joining with you on that on both sides of the equation. It's time for us all to clean that one up.
And you know what I just got when you said that? Do you know how you ping to radio towers?
Yes.
That's exactly the pinging.
That's exactly it. And whether we're going to respond to the ping with whatever's that resonates in carbon-based memory, or whether they're going to be conscious, and instead of just following the decisions of the machine called the mind, the mind of man and its decisions, do we bring in choice from being and bring in through our actions, our attitudes, our behaviors, the active presence of love expressed in the world that we're all really here to do.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Michael.
Cool. Sweet. Awesome. Well, it's 2:00 already. So I'm going to just say thank you to everybody for joining us, and have the best year yet of your eternal life, joining you in doing that, and looking forward to how the week unfolds.